All right, here we go. My name's Jeff K, and you're listening to episode 428 of the world-famous West Virginia Surf Report podcast. You know, these weird middle-of-the-week holidays that we're experiencing? You know, specifically Christmas and New Year's Day. They're messing me up, man. I haven't even got to New Year's Day. As I record this, it's not New Year's Day yet, but Christmas messed me up. This whole having a weekend, then having 2 days off, 2 days of work, and then 1 day off, and then 2 days of work, and then 2 days off, and then 2 days of work, you know what I mean? It's messing me up. I wake up in the morning, and I don't really know what the hell's going on. I don't know what, I have to think for a second or two. Like, what is today? What do I work? What's going on? You know, it's messing me up. I need to get back. I mean, it's good to have a day off. You know, I appreciate that. But I'm actually kind of looking forward to just getting back to a normal 5-day a week. I know that sounds crazy, sounds counterintuitive, but I don't mind. I like a 4-day week, but I'd prefer be off Monday or Friday, not that middle of the week at donut schedule, as they call it. We have people at my job who work the donut schedule. They're off Wednesdays. I don't know. I mean, I'd get used to it, obviously, but this thing's messing me up. I don't know. I can't find my own ass with both hands, as that guy used to say. As that guy at my job in Atlanta, I heard somebody say that on a conference call. This guy's an idiot. This guy couldn't find his own ass with both hands. He thought the phone was muted. He was on a national conference call. He was talking about the guy who was speaking. Some guy's on there talking, and somebody else in the back. You could hear this other guy goes, "This guy's an idiot. He couldn't find his own ass with both hands." It was one of the greatest moments of my working career. That guy didn't last. He got fired. He was no longer with the company. Let's put it that way. Anyway, I don't know. This thing's got me messed up. I'm ass over tits because of this. I have no idea what the hell's going on. But anyway, I'm glad to have Christmas in the rear view. Always, that's my goal. I mean, that's what I look forward to. You know, I used to love Christmas. Everybody loves Christmas. When you're young, Christmas is so much fun. When you're young and everything's like, even when I was like a little bit older, I loved Christmas. And then when our kids were young, it was all a blast. We had such a good time. You know, the whole thing was just a blast. Now, no, I want it behind me. It's just high stress, expensive, and fraught with guilt. I feel guilty about stuff. You know, it's like, did I do enough? Did I do this? Did I do that? It's like, I don't know. I don't need that. I don't need another layer of pressure, and that's what Christmas does. And you stick it in the middle of the week. It's just it's got me ass over tits. Anyway, New Year's Day coming up. New Year's, it's going to be another holiday in the middle of the week. I will not be doing anything on New Year's Eve, nor have I ever. I don't remember ever doing anything on on New Year's Eve. Yeah, I see all this stuff on TV. Say, for instance, the Poseidon Adventure. At the beginning, before that thing goes upside down. You know, at the beginning where they were having that big party on that big ship, and everybody's wearing a novelty hat, blowing noisemakers. Everybody's drunk and having a great time. You know, there's a giant Christmas tree. It's like 3 stories tall, and everybody's just having a blast. You know. And they're singing Old Lang Syne and all that stuff, and all that stuff, all that. I have never experienced that in my life. I've never been somewhere that I can remember. I mean, if it happened, it wasn't memorable. I can't remember ever being usually I was all my life, I've just been home. I've been watching Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve, for many years. And I don't know, I don't even watch anything now. It's just another night at home. Sometimes they have like they have the Twilight Zone. They have the Twilight Zone marathon. Christmas Day, somebody had, I think it was TV Land, had the Andy Griffith Show marathon. We watched a whole bunch of those. That show was hilarious. If you're not familiar, or if or whatever your situation is, because young people curate their own lives. We didn't have a chance. There was no curating in my group. When I grew up, there was a few channels, and that's what you watched because you didn't have any options. Now you can just watch whatever you want, anything you want. So anything that's old and you don't know about it, you'll never see it, which is a shame because there's some gold in the past. So much great stuff. The Andy Griffith Show, the original one when Barney was on their black and white episodes. It doesn't get any better. Possibly the greatest TV show ever. Definitely one of the greatest comedies ever. That thing is legitimately and consistently, and it's still to this day. I've seen every episode who knows how many times. Many, many times. And every time I watch it, I'll laugh, and I think this thing's hilarious. This thing's clever. The acting and the characters in it are hilarious, and it's just consistently funny. The Andy Griffith Show. So we sat there and watched on Christmas Day. Sat there and watched, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes of the Andy Griffith Show, just one after the other, just a daisy chain. And it was all the good stuff too. It was the pickle story, the loaded goat, all the good stuff. So anyway, but they have on New Year's Eve. I feel like they have a Twilight Zone marathon. I'll probably do that. That's all I do. I don't do anything. Have you ever gone out, had paid, got all dressed up, put on a novelty hat, and blow on one of those things that unroll and just make a noise? It's just some kind of an apparatus that unrolls and makes a hideous noise. Have you ever done that as part of a party? I've never done that, and I don't think people in real life do that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Have you ever gone to a full-blown Poseidon Adventure style New Year's Eve party? I haven't, and I've never been on a cruise ship. I've certainly never been on one that's upside down. But I tell you what, I saw that movie in the theater when it came out. I was a little kid. That shit, I thought that was the greatest movie ever made. In fact, I've seen it probably like 5 times in my life. Every time I watch it, I think, this is a great movie. I love this thing. This thing is wildly entertaining. What a great film, The Poseidon Adventure. And then they started coming out with all these other movies that were other, tragedies, disaster films. The Towering Inferno, about people stuck in some high-rise, one of those big giant high-rises in New York, I think. And it caught on fire. That was a good one. Earthquake. That was a good one. I know there's a whole bunch of them. It created, that Poseidon Adventure was such a big hit that it created, everybody's like, we got to get our own disaster film out, Fantastic. I saw the Earthquake movie with Sense-Around. This is some kind of crap they had in the 70s where you could feel the ground shake while you're watching it. Like you could physically feel it. They had some kind of apparatus in the movie theater. Do you remember Sense-Around? How lame is that? But anyway, that's probably what I'll do. Maybe I'll see if I can find the Poseidon Adventure. It's got to be somewhere, right? It's got to be on one of the many streaming services we have. Speaking of that, we got rid of cable. Signed up for last time. We did this once before, like 3 years ago. Didn't like it because we signed up for that Hulu version. It's like there's these streaming services that are like cable TV, And it's like half price, half of what cable costs, but you get, like 100 channels just like you do with cable or whatever. But it's all streaming. We signed up for the Hulu version of that. There's all kinds of different places that sell it. And it was freezing. I don't know if it had something to do with our internet service. I don't know. But we didn't like it. And some of the channels were out of sync. It was like a Godzilla movie where the lips would move and then the voice would come out like a half second later, So that was driving us nuts. Like, this thing's like freezing up all the time. It's like some kind of Godzilla bullshit going on here. Like, I just want to watch a TV show. God. So we ended up going back to cable and shit canned the Hulu. But now, the pricing is just ridiculous. The price is outrageous. What the hell? Why? Why does it cost so much? Because people will pay it, I guess. We're not going to pay it anymore. So we got rid of cable, and that was difficult to do. They didn't want to let us go. They're like, how about we do this? How about we throw this in? Like, why didn't you do that like 6 months ago or whatever? But anyway, we got rid of it, and we got YouTube TV, which is another version of the. It's just another. It's like cable TV, but it's streaming. That's all it is. It's like 120 channels or something. It's like having cables, but it's just streaming only. I guess if the internet goes down, you're screwed. Better get out the DVDs. But anyway, that's so far so good. We hate it. We didn't like the Hulu like 3 years ago, but this one doesn't. This one doesn't freeze up. Maybe the technology's better. Maybe our service is better. I don't know. But it doesn't freeze up, and there's not that syncing issue, the synced up, vocals and all that stuff. We're not having any issues with that. So far, so good. We're only a couple weeks into it, and we like it. And it's going to be the first 3 months are really cheap, and then it goes up to like $80 or something, which is way less than what we were paying before. So. I'll keep you updated. I'll cut the cord here, finally. I don't know. Cable is, it's very stable. Cable is stable. But, it's there when you need it. You don't have problems with it, but it's expensive. And it's to the point where you can't afford it, or you don't want to pay it anyway. Even if you can't afford it, you don't want to pay it because it's ridiculous. It's outrageous. So I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated on that. Let's see what I got listed here. Let's see. Speaking of technology, I was talking about one of the things. I was talking recently about Spotify and stuff like that. I used to be. I'm one of these guys that's resistant to all. Like when I used to listen to LPs back in the 70s. 80s, early 80s, mid whatever. And then CDs came along. I'm like, why do I need that? What's the point of that? Why do I need a CD? Well, it sounds that much better. It sounds fantastic. My albums sound fantastic. It's like, yeah, but they don't skip. My albums don't skip. Don't you take care of them, asshole. Stop manhandling them. Handle them with respect. Handle them like a newborn baby. That's the way you handle an LP. So I was resistant to that, and then I finally broke down and got super into CDs, right? Bought 10,000 of them or something. Or I didn't buy them all, but I amassed 10,000 CDs. I got completely over the top with that. And then those things started going out of style. People were getting into MP3s. I'm like, what in the world would I want to do that for? Why would I want that? You say I still have to buy them, but I don't really own anything. It's just like a little snippet of code. Screw that, So I was resistant to that. But then I signed up for this thing called eMusic, and it was some kind of deal where it was all independent label stuff. You paid a subscription. You got 3 full albums every month. You could just go down there and download 3 full albums every month. And it was cheap. It cost like $15 a month, and you got 3 full albums or something like that. It was all indie label. None of it was major label stuff. So I kind of sort of got into MP3s for a while, and I started using iTunes and listening to stuff that way. I never really got into that all that much, to tell you the truth. And then streaming came along. I'm like, what the shit's that? You know, you're completely. It's like you're completely at the. So you're just paying like a monthly subscription, and you just tap into some database. What if they decide they don't want to put that record on, those albums up there anymore? What happens if you... So you have no control over it. I mean, you don't own it. There's this whole thing where you just want to have a collection, where you want to build a music library, the Surf Report Wall of Sound, the Smoking Fish music library, You amass this stuff, and you have access to all this stuff because you own it. If you tap into this international database of every record ever recorded, you're completely, you have no control. They could take that stuff down any moment they wanted to, and then you wouldn't have access to it, and you'd be screwed. I mean, you're just paying for access to this database, but you don't know what's going to be on the database. There's no guarantees. So, but that rarely happens. I eventually went all in on the streaming. If I listen to music in 2024, it's almost 100% streaming. It's either through Spotify or it's through SiriusXM, which I use the app, so it's streaming. And or I use this thing called Cloud. What's it called? Cloud Player, where I can put my own, stuff in there. Stuff that's usually not, rare things, out of print stuff. So between those three, I stream everything to my stereo or to my, my stereo down here in the bunker, or my car stereo through my phone. Almost 100%. It's all I listen to. So I've gone hook, line, and sinker, 100%. Okay. So this concern that I had was like, what if you go there and you don't want to? It's not there anymore. What if you go there and something you want to listen to is no longer there? Almost never happens, And I was talking about that, I think recently. I was like, it's not something I've ever encountered. It's usually the other way. It's something that's like something wasn't there. It's like, that's interesting. I'm surprised that's not on there. And then, 3 months later, you look at it again, it's there. It's the other way. There's like they're adding stuff all the time. I rarely find stuff on there. I rarely go there and try to find something, and it's not there. It's almost always there. Even the obscure stuff, it's usually there. Right? I mean, sometimes I encounter that, but it's rare. It's pretty much everything's there, So today, for some reason, I wanted to listen to that Reach the Beach by The Fix, which is an 80s band. I don't know if you know who they are, but you probably do. But they're called The Fix, Fixx. Had a big album called Reach the Beach. It's a pretty good, it's radio-friendly, new wave rock, that kind of stuff. So I don't know, I had a hankering for that. I went on there, it's not there. Like, what the? So there you go. It's and I went online, and people are like, what happened to The Fix? Why is all the music off the streaming services? Why they're all? I guess it's off every streaming service. Who the hell knows? But that's the problem. See, if you don't own that shit, you don't have access to it. You're completely you're whatever they put up there is what you're gonna have to. That's what you got. You don't have any control over that. So anyway, it happened. It's rare, but I don't know what happened. Who knows? Who knows what The Fix? I don't know what their deal is. I was talking to my brother the other day. When we were kids, I almost forgot about this. Sometimes stuff gets brought up, and I don't remember it until it's brought up. Like, oh yeah, forgot about that. Okay, so this is like maybe 5th grade, 6th grade, 5th, no later than sixth, 5th grade, 6th grade. We were living on 17th Street, so we moved over there in 5th grade. We were young. And so one day I come home from school or whatever, and there's a stack of neatly folded tighty-whities sitting on the on one of the end tables in the living room. And, they're stacked up maybe like 8 inches tall. I said, what the hell? I asked my mom, I said, what the hell's, or I didn't say what the hell, obviously. I said, what's that? And she goes, oh, Mrs. I don't want to say their name, but it's one of the neighbor ladies. They have like 5 kids. The woman lives near us. Have 5 kids. 3 boys, 2 girls. And they were all older than us, but the youngest one was not that much older, maybe like 2 years older than me, maybe a year older, I don't know. And then there's a whole bunch of older kids beyond that. Anyway, so she goes, Mrs. X. I don't want to say any names. I don't know who's listening, but Mrs. X, gave me those. I said, what the hell's, I said, why? Where'd they come from? Well, the youngest son, she goes, she bought them for him. And I don't know if they didn't fit, they were the wrong size, or he didn't like them for some reason. And so she thought that, you guys could wear them. I said, what the hell? I said, I'm not wearing it. I don't wear some other kid's underwear. And she goes, oh, Jeff, they've been washed. They've been washed and they're clean. There's nothing wrong with them. I said, I'm not putting those things on. No way. She goes, you're crazy. You're ridiculous. You're acting like you're ridiculous. I said, I said, that's not going to happen. She goes, I'm going to talk to your father when he gets home about this. She got all mad at me. And I was like looking at him like, I don't even want to touch him. I don't even want to come near him. She goes, oh my God, you're so ridiculous. I said, I'm not putting, no way. And she was like really mad about it. She goes, I'm going to talk to your father about this. I'm going to see what he thinks about this. I said, okay, but I'm still not wearing them, I'm not wearing those things. This is back during the era of when that's tighty whities. That's pretty much, that's all there was. The only exception was I remember we used to go to like JCPenney or something, and they'd have like a little section of underwear in a tube. You know what I mean? It was like these little bikini underwear with like multiple collars. They were like colorful. And they didn't have a fly or something. It didn't look like. They're like little bikini. They stuck them down in a tube. Do you remember this? It's like the kind that Jim Palmer wore in those ads. I remember seeing those Jim Palmer ads. He was a pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles, and he used to do all these underwear ads, and they were like bikini, like colorful bikini underwear. And I was like, I used to think, do people actually wear those? Do people wear underwear like that? I've never encountered anything like that in my life. Everybody in the world, every male that I ever encountered up to that point, just wore, tighty whities. This is 70s, early 80s, 70s, late 70s. But anyway, so I was like, I said, there's absolutely no way I'm wearing those. And I said, I'm not dropping my goods down in there where another man's goods have already been, She's like, you're crazy. You're going to say, I'm going to talk to your dad, see what he thinks. So she talks to my dad. And my dad's like, I wouldn't wear them either. She's like really, really mad. She goes, I'm going to put these in the drawer with you. And I'm going to put these in your drawer. And, wear them or don't wear them. I don't care. Whatever. I think all of you are ridiculous. Like, what the hell? Used underwear? Some kid I know? No way. I mean, there's simply no way. I mean, that's just like what was his issue with them anyway? I'd like to know the backstory on this thing. What was his problem with them? I didn't like these. I just don't like them. Why? Well, it was like some kind of weird brand. I don't know. It's like something I'd never seen before. I don't know what the hell. Who the hell knows? But so she put them in the underwear drawer. I can't remember. Was it I don't know. Did we? I don't know. But anyway, they were in there, mixed in. Well, she put them in there in the underwear drawer, and I was like, I can't have these touching. I can't, these can't be touching the ones in rotation. Yeah, I remember I was talking to my brother. Me and my brother were like, look at that. So we built that. We took socks and we built a wall, like a barrier. we built a barrier so that these Mrs. X underwear were like down on one end, and there was like a wall of socks, so that it wouldn't actually. So none of it would even touch, the underwear that was in current rotation. And then eventually we just threw them away. I don't know what the hell. I think we just threw them away. I think we waited till they went to work. We just tossed them in the trash. We got rid of them. I don't know how we probably put like trash bags on our hands and picked them up and put them in like a Kroger bag and then took it out and put it in the trash can way down deep underneath the the hamburger helper box that was discarded the previous night, and that shit was gone. But we built up I remember we built a sock barrier so that it wouldn't touch, so that there'd be no, So how do you feel about that? Have you ever been like? I remember one time my mom had a yard sale. She got into this thing where yard sales became hip, or I don't know if they were hip, but they became popular. This is the early days. This was a new thing. This is some kind of thing. I know everybody does them now, but there was a period in the 70s, I think, late 70s, when the concept of a yard sale was, new. And she jumped on that, and she sold a bunch of stuff out on our driveway one time. Very embarrassing. No. I mean, everybody's doing it, but whatever. But she was out there selling stuff, and I think she tried it once. Maybe she did it twice. I feel like she had like people. It was like multiple. It was like some of her friends were chipped in. They all set it up on our driveway, and people stopped by and bought stuff. And there was this kid that I went to school with. I see him wearing my shirts, I see him wearing my old shirts, And his mother, I guess, stopped down there and bought them. And then I see him wearing my old shirts at school. Never said anything about it. I don't want to embarrass him. And I just like I don't know. Never was really into that. I remember when people got into like thrift store, buying stuff in thrift stores. Kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. Certainly, I mean, I don't know, a jacket, I guess, if you had it laundered, I could deal with. But anything else, no way. I don't know, pants, I don't think so. It's not for me. It's not for Jeff K. Yeah, there's this guy named Ian Dury. He's a musician. He's gone, but back in the late 70s, he had this album called New Boots and Panties. Absolute masterpiece. And there's no albums that sound like that. That thing's a singular album. Nobody sounds like that. It is a great album. Fantastic. New Boots and Panties. And I read some article, an interview with him, and they asked him where the title came from. He said that he buys all his stuff in thrift stores. But there's only two things that he will not buy used, and that's boots and panties, as he called them. He's not buying used panties. See, Ian Jury knew. He knew. He wouldn't be buying. He wouldn't be using those briefs from Mrs. X. He knew. Ian Jury and I are on the same page. Anyway, I thought I'd share that story. I think my brother and I were just talking about that not too long ago. Craziness. My mom still does that. If I brought that up today, she'd be like, "That's ridiculous. You guys are ridiculous." I don't understand that. Before I go, we're at the end of this thing. I'm going on and on about with this stuff. I have an apology for some of you guys. Okay, the other day I was flipping through. I have various Gmail accounts, right? I don't know. I have a whole bunch of them. I have some that I made when I was looking for a job. I have some, like I would create a new Gmail account for whatever. I probably have like 6, 8 different Gmail accounts, and I use 2 of them, right? There's 2. I use one. It's a surf report account. It's like it's where I do 80% of my emailing. And then I have one that I do kind of personal, more personal stuff, like with friends and, family and stuff. And then I have a whole bunch of other ones that I barely ever go into, right? And I know I'm sorry about this, but I totally forgot. I got some kind of dementia problem. I got some kind of issue going on here. I don't sleep enough. I don't know. I think at least I hope that's the problem, because I forget things now, and I don't understand. It's concerning to me. I forget things a lot, and I always had like a really good memory, So anyway, I was flipping through all these these Gmail accounts that I had, and just checking them out. And one of them had a whole bunch of stuff in there from actual people. It wasn't just crap. Because often these things just get loaded with spam. But I opened one of them, and it was like from actual people that I know, and there's a whole bunch of messages in there, and it was the Surf Report Pod. I mean, I totally forgot about it. I forgot I even had it. I know it's hard to explain, and I hope I didn't tick you guys off, but I totally forgot that I even had that, and I haven't checked it in months. So there's a whole bunch of emails in there I haven't responded to. I didn't even see them, so I haven't even opened them yet. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to go through them, and I can't explain it. I can't explain it. I think I don't get enough sleep. I sleep very lightly, whereas I used to sleep deep, very deep. And nothing could wake me up. You could go in there and, you could fire up some kind of a tree, like a wood chipper in the bedroom. And I just maybe, I might stir. If you started firing wood, like tree limbs through a chipper inside the bedroom, sure, I might stir a little bit, maybe change positions and go, make some kind of noise but I probably wouldn't come completely awake. And I used to sleep deep, not anymore. Every little thing wakes me up, and I never get into a deep sleep where it doesn't feel like I do. I walk around exhausted all the time. I don't know what's wrong with me, and I feel like it's affecting my brain. But anyway, I totally forgot. I mean, the thing's completely slipped my mind. So you guys sent me emails. I didn't read them. I haven't read them yet. I just saw them in there the other day, and my heart sank. I'm like, oh shit. What the hell is wrong with you? These people are sending you emails and you're not even responding to them. What the hell's wrong with you? So I feel shame. It's yet another thing to feel guilty about. I'll go in there and I'll answer each one of them. I'm sorry. I apologize. And I will start looking at them more consistently. I don't have anything that came across the hotline, but I do have a couple of little sound files that I thought I'd share with you. My brother, for some reason, he got it in his head that he wanted to. Well, he turned on his landline telephone recently, and he turned on he had it hooked up to a fax machine. But I guess he went out and he had a telephone. And he turned it into an actual telephone landline. And he wanted to go get an old-fashioned answering machine that had a cassette in it. You know what I mean? Just like in the 80s or whatever. And I don't know why he wanted to do this, but he got it in his head he wanted to do. So he bought one off of eBay, like a used. He said it's the exact same one he used to have. And he used to record these messages that were ridiculous. He had one where he was like he was blasted. I think it was like a Johnny Winter, like blues jam. Just blasting it. Like the volume was cranked up as loud as it's like just guitars, just a wall of guitars just blazing. And he's like standing on the other side of the room, and he goes, "Hello, I can't come to the phone right now." He's like yelling it from across the room, and it's like this guitar, just an army of guitars blasted. I remember that. I remember people used to call that thing. As soon as it would kick on, it was like so loud, everybody like hold the receiver away from their ear and have this grimace look on their face. But anyway, he was trying to recreate that. Thing didn't work very well. But then he started messing around with messages, like AI voice messages on the internet, and he was sending them over to me. And he sent me one. He sent me several. Well, I don't know if he told me about several of them. He sent me one, and I was walking around Sam's Club, and I got the email, and I asked. He goes, "What do you think about this message?" And I played it, and I played it while I was walking around Sam's Club, and people were looking at me. So this is the message. I want to share it with you.
I can't come to the phone right now because of my spastic colon. But if you leave a message, I will call you back when things settle down.
So, yeah, we're both in our early 60s, and we're stuck on. I think we're both stuck on, like, I don't know how old, 12, 14 at the most. I mean, I thought that shit was hilarious. Everybody's looking at me. It's like playing real loud on my phone. And I don't know, it's bizarre. The robot voice makes it even more hilarious. But anyway, he ended up going with something else. But the spastic colon ones. That's the one near and dear to my heart. That's the one I like. And next, I have this other audio file. Remember, I was talking about yacht rock. This new so-called genre. It's like soft rock from the 70s, 80s. It's not something, I don't know. I tried to listen to that one time recently there's a yacht rock channel on yacht rock station on Sirius XM. Turn that shit on. It's like, I don't know, some of it's okay, but then you get Toto and crap like Toto. Ugh. I mean, I don't know what you think of them. People seem to have a fond memory of Toto. I can't stand them. That's like one of the worst. That sucks. But anyway, somebody made a documentary about yacht rock, and for some reason they lump Steely Dan into this. I love Steely Dan, and Steely Dan is one of those bands that sounds like nobody else. If you hear like 2 seconds of Steely Dan, you know it's Steely Dan. And they were smooth. Their songs are like smooth and jazzy and stuff. But then you listen to the lyrics, sometimes you're like, what the? These guys are like, this isn't some kind of like lame ass. I mean, these guys have an ulterior motive going on. They're great. I love Steely Dan. But anyway, they get lumped in, which offends me. They get lumped in with Seals and Croft and shit like Ambrosia and stuff like that. Pablo Cruz. Give me a break. But anyway, they get lumped in. So the producer or the director of the movie, this documentary about yacht rock, called up Donald Fagen, leader of Steely Dan, one of the two main guys in Steely Dan. Calls him up, see see if he wants to talk to him about about yacht rock. And this is how that conversation went.
Hello, Mr. Fagan.
Yeah, this is he.
Yeah, hi. This is Garrett. I'm the one making this yacht rock documentary. Yeah, so I've been talking to a lot of people that have played with you and Steely Dan over the years, and I was wondering if you'd sit down with me and talk about your music and this genre.
And what genre is that?
Yacht rock.
Oh, yacht rock. Well, I tell you what. Why don't you go fuck yourself?
Don't take it hung up on me.
That's awesome. That's like one of the greatest things ever. That's I think that's a very concise and a perfect response. I don't know. That's excellent. I've seen Steely Dan live multiple times. They're one of these bands. They started out in the early 70s, and they used to tour. And then they decided they were just going to be a studio band, and they never toured for years and years. During most of their original run, they were studio only. They did no touring, and they didn't, and they just release albums, have a bunch of hits, and they did no tour. They did no live shows. And then they broke up, and Donald Fagen had a couple, several solo records, and and that was that. And then at some point they got back together, and they started touring, like they never did that hardly. And I've seen them, I think 3 times, at least 3 times, possibly 4 times. But yeah, I'm a big fan. And that curmudgeonly response to that request about yacht rock makes me like them even more. But anyway, what's your feelings on yacht rock? Ugh. I mean, some of it's all right. I mean, I don't have any problem with 70s soft rock sometimes. But I don't know, some of that stuff sucks. I don't know. And I don't know why they're so heavy on Toto. It's like all those channels on there, they get hung up on one artist. Then it's like, I don't like it. It's always a band I don't like. Like Depeche Mode, first wave Depeche Mode. I don't know. Not a big fan of Depeche Mode. And then there's like Pink Floyd on all the classic rock channels. I don't know. I don't want to listen to that mournful, sad sounding stuff. I don't like that either. And Radiohead on Sirius XM, or what is it called? Indie 1.0. Radiohead, not a big fan. And then Toto on the yacht rock. There's always one band that they get hung up on, and it's always a band I don't like. I feel like they're tapped into my psyche and they're messing with me. But anyway, that's the end of that. We're at the end of this thing. Thank you guys for listening. If you want 2 of these episodes a week instead of a measly one, we got it all set up for you. Head on over to patreon.com. It's Patreon, patreon.com/JeffK. Sign up for a $4 or more monthly donation. Helps me out a great deal. And you get an extra episode every week. Not every once in a while. That's for suckers. Every once in a while. Give me a break, sucker. No, every time I publish one to the main network like this, a few days later, there'll be a new one for patrons only, full-length episode. Sometimes the Patreon episode's better than the main network episode. I have no control over it. It just happens as it happens, So if you want to double down on the Surf Report, do it today. Patreon.com/JeffK. And if you want to call in and tell me what's on your mind, react to stuff that I've said here, or ask me a question or make a suggestion, whatever, you can call me up, 570-290-8151. You'll be a part of a future show, almost certainly. So do that today, 570-290-8151. Call me around the clock. And surfreportpod.com is the web home of the podcast. Expanded show notes, photographs, links, etc., etc. So check that out as well. You can leave comments there too, but nobody ever does. I don't know. I don't know. That used to upset me, but producers have said nobody leaves comments. So not on podcasts. I said, so I shouldn't feel bad about this? No, because nobody does. Say, all right, because people listen to podcasts while they're in their car or while they're at work or whatever. They're not going to leave them. They're not leaving comments. I said, all right, well, I guess I won't sweat it. But anyway, if you want to leave a comment, you can do that. It's all over at surfreportpod.com. If you want to check out stuff I mentioned, I usually try to link to it or feature it somehow. Check it out, surfreportpod.com. And I'm going to check out those emails. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with my brain. It's all fried up. It's like sizzling. My brain is turned into sizzling. I'm not even sure I know what that is. It's something from my past. I'm just like, there's like these little shards of memories that just pop up every once in a while. What the shit sizzling. All right, anyway. We're at the end of this thing. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, which will be over on the Patreon site, I hope you guys have yourselves a fine, fine day. I'll see you. Bye.